So I'm a newly minted special education teacher in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm working. I have a newly minted, no pun intended, master's degree in something. And my friend Mitch and I have been assigned with these recalcitrant youth, 6 kids. They found 6 kids who had anger issues in Brooklyn. Can you imagine? And they put them in a room with us, and we had no idea what to do. The cops would call these kids recalcitrant youth. And here they were. Steven Suarez was, he had a flip. He was a flamboyantly gay 11-year-old boy. If they were bullying today, this kid would be on all the national posters. So he was in there for who knows why. I guess he got picked on a lot before this was an issue. Rashad Mack, who looked like he was in the Spinners in one of those groups. He wore these like Nehru jackets. He had held off 3 fully packed New York City police cars with broken beer bottles, throwing it at him, calling him all sorts of bad names. Darryl Ash's mother was like a Black Power advocate. So Darryl, with a big fro and the comb in it, hated all white people, which I happen to be, and so did my little Jewish buddy Mitch. Larry Williams was just a little sneaky little guy with like kicking the kneecap and running. Go, he did it. And Lenny Womble could do bird calls, and he also would pick your pocket clean. And he told me one day he had so much power that if he put his finger in the earth, it would stop spinning. Downstairs, and we head down the road to the Motel 209, which is one of these places that's in a bad movie. It's just one of these motels that has like a single room. They're all attached. And the Patel family, who now owns it, are very, very happy to see us. And I said, you have a room? Yes, we have a room. We have a room. It's $29 a night. And I'm like, we're good. So I said, you can wake us up at 7:30. We have to go travel further on. Yes, no problem. So we go into our room, and it's one of these places where, well, after about a half an hour, the wall next to us, headboard, is banging against our wall because the trucker who has stopped with his companion is having a good night in there. There are screams coming from a couple of units down. I look and see these lights blowing, and it's 2 police cruisers and an ambulance as I look, and they're bringing a woman out who's saying, and I will kill you, you son of a bitch. And so we go back inside, and I say, you know, this might be a good time for us to open our presents. And because, like, we're here now, and it's our first time together, and she says, well, okay. So I said, here are yours. So she opens them up, and I have gotten her a cashmere scarf. I'm good at getting anything. And some silk silver pajamas, pants, top, no lingerie yet. It's too soon. And she says, oh, my God, you know, how wonderful. Here you go, Dennis. Here's yours. A little bag that's a little lumpy. I open it up. It's a pair of wool socks. I'm from Queens. I have no idea what you're supposed to do with these. And there's a big, tall box. So I open up that big, tall box. And lo and behold, it's a doll in the image of Bing Crosby with a pipe and a microphone and a hat. And he's singing, when you crank him up, I'm dreaming of a white. Now, I'm brutally honest at the wrong times, and I tell her that I actually hate Bing Crosby. There's nothing I like worse than I would have killed this guy because the way he raised his children, his baseball team, Bob Hope, the whole thing. I can't stand Bing Crosby. Well, we were trying hard, and then Reader's Digest explained the position you should take and the time in the cycle, because we didn't have a lot of sex ed in Catholic school. So we practiced that, and next thing you know, we're going to have a baby, and we pick, lead-free cribs, all this stuff. We get the best 2 OBGYN guys we've heard about. We got the young guy and the old guy, like Marcus Welby, if you're familiar with the show. We got James Brolin, we got Robert Young, and the young guy goes, he doesn't care if it's in Blue Water, Lamaze. So we go forward with this whole thing, and I stay awake in Lamaze class. And we don't know if we want a boy or girl, as long as they're healthy. And all the grandmothers are excited. And her Italian grandmother gets her on the floor at like 6 months and takes my wedding ring and puts it on a string and holds it over her. And if it goes in a circle, it's a girl. And if it goes this way, it's a boy. It went that way, and we had a boy. The day of the delivery, I go to the hospital, and the fetal monitor runs out of tape. Kathy's saying, like, "But this Lamaze." She's like in labor for like 33 hours. They bring us into the room, and Dr. Pitkin is not there, the young guy. Knockout Neiman, his partner, is there, who's never delivered a baby in his life. He's anesthetized women and C-sectioned them all. He's trembling. So like in wrestling, they tap him out, and they bring another guy in, and they have to do forceps. And then they ask this other anesthesiologist, "What do you think, doctor?" And the guy goes, "I don't know, 1,200, 1,500. They throw him out.
And my son is sunny side up. He's upside down in the birth canal. He could be brain dead any minute now. And they get in there and turn him around. I'm sweating. I'm watching this whole thing. They told me I could leave. They have a backup group. My son is born. A great day. And I decide I'm not going to be like my father. I'm going to, give this kid a bath in the sink. I'm changing diapers. I'm doing all the formula cooking because she couldn't breastfeed. And on I go. I'm going to teach him how to fly a kite, ride a bike, shoot baskets, all of this stuff, because I'm not going to be like my father. He was a nice guy, but he was a World War II guy. Didn't say too much. Just smoked cigarettes and read the paper. Now, all this time, I had been getting up in education. I was also still drinking and still smoking a lot. And I wasn't cutting that out. I didn't think it was a big problem because life was good, and so was our life. And nothing seemed to be harmful until people started noticing this, particularly people who love me. So my wife, as he's like in middle school, she says, Dennis, you ought to like curb some of this now, like act like a grown-up. And I fight that and I deny that and I say everything is fine, and I just continue to sneak away and do this stuff. So by the time he's 14, he's our only child, I get served with divorce papers at work, and it had to come to that. And I move out, and he stays with her, and there's a big chasm. And my son, who I love dearly, and my wife, who I've known since, we're 13 years old, are gone. And I'm kind of turning that around to say I'm kind of glad now nobody's nagging me. And I turn into a worse street drug that's out there, and I stopped seeing my son even on visitation weekends, and he catches on to this stuff, and he slides a note where I'm living and says, "You're really not my father anymore, you scare me." He said, listen, just send him a birthday card and a Christmas card. So I do that for 8 years, and I get no response. And he said to me, you just stay clean and sober no matter what happens, and he'll know that you love him. And so he gets engaged. I hear that from my sister, and one day the phone rings here. And I pick, because I was allowed to add my phone number. The phone rings, and I pick it up. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning, and he says, hi, it's Evan. It's my son. 10 years has gone by since I've seen him. He's 27 years old. And I said, Evan? He goes, yeah. I go, wow. He goes, I don't know what to say. I said, I don't either. I said, how come you called today? He says, Grandma's busting my chops. She keeps talking. When are you going to get back together again? Blah, blah, blah. He's getting married. And I said, oh, God. I said, I told her not to say anything about that. And he goes, I believe you. And my mother's like, I'm not going to the wedding if you're not invited. I go, Mom, I'm not going to show up at his wedding. I'm missing from his life for 10 years. You don't show up that day and steal the whole thing. And they go, who's that guy? Oh, it's your father? Your father. Then who's this guy? Because my wife had remarried. So here it goes later on, and we meet like a few months after that wedding down in Boston where he lives. Turns out my daughter-in-law's father went for cigarettes and never came home. So she prompted my son to say, it seems like your father's reaching out to you all this time. Why don't you get in touch with him? And he was afraid to do that, I think, but he did. And so now it's about 15 years later. I'm still clean. My first wife is kind of cordial to me, but she's not unhappy because I broke her heart seriously. Broke her heart, just like I broke my own. And my son and I don't talk about that past. He's in my life presently. He's got 2 boys who call me grandpa, and we do a lot of things together. So, if love and joy and forgiveness and frustration and anger and denial and redemption and happiness and sadness are experiences that make us human, I think you can all understand. Thank you. Happy New Year.